Ahoy, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? It is Tuesday, the 17th of May, and this is the BBC Spews Live. Huzzah! Looks like the Ukraine war's not going to end anytime soon. Funny, everyone was saying it'll be over in a month or two. It might turn into this like World War I thing where they kept saying it'll be over by Christmas, and then 4 years later they were still sitting in a hall, hating life. Poor old Wilfred Orne, dulce et decorum est. Remember reading that when I was in school. Didn't think much of it, to be honest. But then, sadly, I've always felt as if the Bootneck's always felt as if he's missing out on things in life because I don't have a poetic soul. You know, things like poetry don't really move me. I've never sort of been touched by a poem and felt almost moved to tears. Sad that really, isn't it? I feel like I'm missing out that I'm not a fucking soppy wet blanket type. Putin hates the UK, mate. He does. Well, to be honest, I think we sort of deserve it, don't we? I mean, you can see why Putin hates the UK. You know, I think that was linked to Eurovision. You know, Paz made a video about Eurovision saying, like, obviously everyone knew Ukraine was going to win it because it's always been expressly political. But I don't think anyone mentioned the fact that it's political that Britain came second. Like, the whole thing is political. That's why Britain always gets 0 point, because the Continentals have always hated the fact that we fucking think for ourselves in England, that we don't have the same... We've got more of a robust defence of our liberal values in England specifically, because of all those enlightened people that come before us. Certainly, way more than in Scotland and Ireland. I mean, they just have a commie bent on in Scotland and Ireland. So they've always hated England on the continent. The French, I mean, all bad ideas are French, as David Starkey says, and as a result of that, the French don't like to face the mirror. And when they talk to an Englishman who says, why do you all constantly collectivize everyone and everything? Why do you constantly fuck up the whole world with your shit ideas? Why does everyone from Pol Pot to Karl Marx himself at some point spend the time getting educated in France? Because France is the mother of all bad ideas, and when we remind them of that, they don't like it. But they've always been political. Eurovision is expressly political. So it's not a coincidence that this year we come second, because who's out of everyone in Europe, who's been the most antagonistic towards Russia? The UK. Who sent the most money out of all the European countries to the Ukraine? You best believe it was the UK. So it makes sense, doesn't it? It's David Scobie. Northern Irish, I'm definitely not calling me anything. Yeah, but the Northern Irish aren't the Irish either. It's different. Ulster's always been more conservative. Again, the English Ulster and the Welsh are less commie inclined than the Irish and the Scots. That's just a fact. And again, I'm not a collectivist, so I'm not saying all Irish or all Scottish, but I've seen the numbers. It's what? 62% of Scots maybe have a sort of commie leaning, whereas the English, it's probably, what, 15, 20%? Because this is the delusion that all these people have in England. I've talked about this loads of time. Newcastle, right? Because all the pitwallers in the north of England have always voted Labour as a result of a misguided hatred for Margaret Thatcher, who dug us out of a hole so fucking deep, I didn't believe. Looking at the history books, she did quite an achievement there. Britain was a country on its fucking knees. I've had this argument with everybody. I mean, there's a few of you guys in the chat I know who absolutely hate Thatcher, but it's because you've been conditioned to hate Thatcher. Again, she had a shortcoming, she did. But the things that she gets criticised for are not the things she should be getting criticised for. There was no alternative to fucking nationalising the railways. That's a good example I always use, because I've been at the National Railway Museum in York and read the numbers. We were hemorrhaging money, billions of pounds. Billions of pounds. People say this as if she's at fault for it. There's no alternative. the alternative to not selling the railroads was what? It's hemorrhaging billions. You have to sell it. It's not like she could have done something about it, fixed the problem. The problem was fixed by selling the fucking thing, because the state can't run a piss up in a brewery. And it had to happen. And as for the pits, again, they were losing money. And it's a third world job. I watched an episode of Course once, about 15 years ago. And the guy said, like, at the time, I hated Thatcher for what she did. But now I'm older and I understand it. She saved me from a lifetime of misery, because it was like going down into hell every day. That was a miner himself. It was like descending into hell. That was his own words. Oh, Blue Van Man's had fish chips. What I wouldn't give for fish chips and mushy peas right now. You can't get fish chips and mushy peas in California for love nor money. Put a bit of salt and vinegar in your mushy peas as well. Bellissimo. Don't tell me that's not a good thing to eat. But yeah, she got things wrong. She did, but she definitely doesn't deserve the hate she got. She dug us out of a fucking hole. We had no money, no hope, and Thatcher clawed us out of it by sheer force of will. Because now they always do the easy thing. I've criticised Trump for this, and all of our leaders. They never do anything really hard. Nobody wants to say, right, I'm putting taxes up a bit and cutting spending. Nobody has the balls to say it. And the British public, again, the only one who does, and I'm his number one fucking fan, the only Conservative who I like still is Jacob Rees-Mogg. I love Jacob Rees-Mogg. He's a savant. The man is a fucking paragon. Every time they ask him mad, I've watched him so many times on TV and they'll come up with mad shit. Like some audience member on Question Time will try to get him with a gotcha and be like, yes, EU Directive 27345B says that we can't do X. What do you think about that? And Jacob Rees-Mogg will be right, oh yes, EU Directive 27361B. Actually, let me tell you, and he just fucking waxes lyrical about it. I was like, the man knows what he's talking about. And I seen an interview with him the other day, and Jacob Rees-Mogg said basically what I've been saying. He was like, you have to trust the British public, and you have to just say, listen, we haven't got any money, we need to put taxes up, or we need to massively cut spending, and here's the reasons why we're doing it. And he said, and if you explain it to the general public, they will listen to you. Jacob Rees-Mogg is the only Conservative politician I've heard in recent years who gives you, ladies and gentlemen, the general public, the credit you deserve, and says the British people you can trust the British people to make the difficult decisions because they're adults. He's the only one who does it. Only one. The rest of them want to take the easy route all the time because they haven't got the courage. The rest of them just want to be as quietly conservative as basically they want to do nothing controversial, and they want to get in and out of office and get the nice pension and the nice fat salary and all the perks. And they just want to hope that nobody notices that they're conservative. This is what I've told you guys loads of times. This is why I absolutely hate Johnny Mercer. I hate Johnny Mercer. Tom Tuggan twat. Those two blokes are just cowards. I've hated them since the shit all over Roger Scruton. So this was years ago. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I was having a pop with Johnny Mercer on Twitter saying, like, why didn't you apologise to Roger Scruton, you prick? And he never did. I watched him when he sat down with Douglas Murray a couple of years ago for The Spectator before he died. And that's why I hate him, because I remember him getting asked a question by an audience member and they said, did Johnny Mercer or Tom Tuggan twat ever apologise to you? And to his credit, at least Tom Tuggan twat apologised to him. But Johnny Mercer didn't. He went to his grave without ever getting an apology off Johnny Mercer. So fuck Johnny Mercer. Johnny Mercer is an absolute prick. He's a self-serving shitbag who constantly looks, he's just a career, he's an officer. He's a typical Sandhurst wanker, Johnny Mercer. And because he did the all-arms course and got his green lit, people go in Plymouth, go, oh, yeah, he's a commando, we should vote for him. He's a fucking wanker. If you lived in the Southwest and you voted for Johnny Mercer, you're an idiot. Because Johnny Mercer's not conservative. Johnny Mercer only cares about Johnny fucking Mercer. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. And he goes on about his military service all the time. Like, I don't do it. I might have a channel called The Angry Bootneck, because that's what I initially called my channel. In hindsight, I probably should have picked something else, because I'm not a bloke who constantly goes on about the military. Very few of my videos are military themed, and I very, very, very rarely swing the lantern and go on about the military. Like, oh, I'm hard as fucking nails. I went to Iraq. I straddled the battlefield like a mighty colossus. I don't do any of that bollocks. But Johnny Mercer does. Johnny Mercer just loves it. And he's a fucking cringing, snivelling coward. A typical Rupert. In it for himself. Absolute wanker. So yeah, I hate Johnny Mercer. People have asked me on Twitter, why did you dislike Johnny Mercer so much? Well, I've told you now. That's why, because he didn't apologise. He threw Roger Scruton under the bus instantly because he's a cringing, snivelling coward, and he didn't even have the good grace to apologise to the man. So fuck Johnny Mercer. In his well-manicured ring piece, does it count as a manicure if it's your arsehole? Probably not. Pedicure and a manicure is your feet and your hands, isn't it? I don't know what ring piece administration is, but fuck him in whatever it is that he's got. Yeah, he's got no morals at all. Got no morals at all. And that's what I'm saying. That's why the whole bunch of these conservatives, these fake conservatives, they try to do nothing controversial and they just want to get in and out of office without anybody noticing the conservative. And Margaret Thatcher at least was happy to take a position. Yeah, of course I have, Bill, and I read the comic 20 years ago. It was a classic. Alan Moore, like I've talked about, he's my favorite. Alan Moore is a fantastic writer. Read the shit out of Watchmen. Read all of the appendices and all the annex and all the extras they put in the graphic novel. But he's a commie as well, and Alan Moore is another shit for brain socialist. So I love his work, but I've always been able to separate the man from the art. I've talked about this a lot. I don't understand people who are like that. Like, who's a good one? Polanski's a nonce, but I'll still watch one of his films if it's good. John Lennon was an absolute prick. John Lennon was a prick, but you still listen to his music. Like, I've never been like that. Michael Jackson, fucking fantastic. King of Pop, some of Jack Law's early work, absolutely class. Bad, Thriller, class. Just because he liked giving kids a handy, it doesn't mean I can't listen to his tunes. Although, did he see it? I'm doing that, playing up in the crowd. I used to actually argue with people in my local 20 years ago, saying that I didn't think Michael Jackson was a nonce. That is one that I disagree with most people on. But I don't think he was. I just think Michael Jackson was a loony. And he never had a childhood. And he was a bit mentally ill. So he wanted to like put on his Buzz Lightyear pajamas and get in bed with fucking kids. I totally think that's the crack. I do not believe he was like sexually motivated. He seemed like he wasn't interested in fucking anything. He seemed like he was mentally ill. He thought he was a little kid. And you know why I think this? This is what won me over. All the fucking rich and famous people who stayed with him said he didn't molest them. Macaulay Culkin said he didn't molest him. What's his name? What's the other lad called? He was quite famous. He was in like Stand By Me and The Lost Boys and all that. What's his name? Corey Feldman. He said, "Oh yeah, loads of people in Hollywood raped me, but Michael Jackson didn't." He said like he stayed at his house plenty of times. He never. So anyone who had money and means who spent the night at Jack Law's house said no. He just like put on his fucking Toy Story pajamas and got in bed with us, but he never did anything untoward. And the only ones who said he did do something were the ones who were like working class chancers who were just trying to get some money off him. And again, if you had suspicions about him, you wouldn't send your kids over. They all took the money. I feel like if your kid got nonced, you wouldn't care about the money, would you? I definitely wouldn't. If they said to me, "We'll give you £1 million to get rid of this story, this bloke who nonced your kids," you'd say, "Fuck your money," wouldn't you? I mean, everyone reading this, wouldn't you? If your kids got nonced and you got the option, send the nonce to prison for a very, very long time or take the money. Would you take the money? Anybody who seriously got nonced? There's a good theory by Dave. Jack Law was a consensual kiddie fiddler. He paid the parents and the kids signed him up. Maybe. Again, we can argue about it because I'm an old school liberal conservative chap and I like debating with people. I don't fall out with them about it. But I don't think he was. I think he was a mentally ill child in a man's body, and I couldn't imagine him shagging anything. I don't think he had a sex drive. So I don't think he was a nonce, but we can argue about that. That's the difference between Yank suing culture and British. I can't advocate the wood chipper on here, Derek. We'll simply change the subject, shall we? All the high-profile nonsense live in the shadows. Well, fucking old Jimmy didn't, did he? Jimmy was out and proud. Anyway, let's not talk about nonsense. Let's do some news, shall we? I've done my opening monologue. Tell you what, it's one of the first times I've seen a picture of a suppressed AK used by a professional soldier. That's a suppressed AK, that, isn't it? You don't often see them. Anyway, how far-right killers are radicalised online. Oh, yeah, I promised I was going to do cancel culture one, didn't I? Let me have a look. Cancel culture, BBC. I'll have to look that up because I forgot about it. Oh, yeah, and I have to do my draw. Fucking nearly forgot about that and all. Right, so let me start with one of them. Right, I'll just log into my PayPal and have a look. Also, what else have I got to do? Subscribe stars as well. I've got 17 or 18 people in there. Let me have a quick look. Mega well organised. Apologies. Amuse yourselves in the chat for a bit. Oh, for fuck's sake. Two-factor authentication. Always. You know what really pisses me off about all this two-factor bollocks? Nowadays, every time you want to do anything, they want two-factor authentication. But the Nigerians can still nick everything. So what's the fucking point? When I was living in Nottingham last year, my phone fell out my pocket while I was on one of them daft electric scooters. Me and my mates still used to lark about on the electric scooters. They were a good crack. And I was pissing about on one of them, and my phone fell out my pocket because I fell off it. And it went straight down the tram lines where the trams operate in Nottingham. And a fucking tram went over it. Like, I was like, no, it went rum and totally flattened it. The phone was like pancaked. So wouldn't think it would be a big deal, would you? But then for the next fucking 5 days, I couldn't get in anything. And every time you try and cancel anything, you know, trying to get into your account to cancel your phone and say, listen, my phone's been lost or stolen. And every time you try to do it, it says, we've sent you a text message so you can fucking report this. I was like, am I brain dead, or is this completely ridiculous? Like, you've got your phone lost or stolen, and everything you try to do to report your phone lost or stolen requires you to get a fucking text message. I was like going on the website going, I need to report my phone, I need to report my phone stolen. Oh, we've texted you. Well, if my phone's been stolen, you dopey twat, I haven't got fucking access to my phone, have I? Is this really complicated? So yeah, anyway, that's something else to whinge about. It does my head in. Text me, just fucking still haven't sent me it. Come on. Type in your code that we haven't sent you. Again, bollocks. The Nigerians don't have any bastard trouble, do they? Here we go. Right, got it. I'm in. Finally. Jesus wept. So 1 through 17 can be me subscribe star lot. And PayPal, what have I got? Payments received. There's everybody on there. Oh no, that's me sending money. I sent a bit of money to Paz and I sent a bit of money to Simon Sideways, and everything else is received. Okay, I've got, let's have a look. Terence Ord, Jan Upton, Taylor Murray, Nicholas Spindler, Stevie Wright, Michael Clifton, Martin Keller, Stevie Henderson, Kev Wainwright, Blue Van Man, Chris Collin, Andy Perkins, Matt Trott, Tracy Reynolds. I guess I'll have to count it up. It's about, not the past 30 days. We'll do the past 90. We'll do the past 90. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 26. 30, Julie Clark is 30. Steve Mackleson, Luke, 3, 6, 9, 40. 49, it looks like. 49 years, plus 17 on subscribe stars, what? 50, 49, 59, 66. 66. So I'll do a random number generator. Let me look for that. Random number generator. 1 through 66. Posh. How does this work? Oh, you can just do it on Google. Aha. There we go. Seems to work. Right. Share that. Bish, bash, bosh. 1 through 66. Did it work? Bish, bosh. Yeah, that works. Right. Can you see that? Sorted. Let me zoom in a bit. Right. We ready for action? Let's have a bosh. Let's have a blast. I'll do it third time lucky, right? So 1, 2, 3. 50. Who's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Stephen Davies. Stephen Davies. He sent me a £5 on February the 17th. Well done, Stephen Davies. You've won some shit art. Send me a private message. Do it on Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, I think, Telegram, any fucking thing. Basically, whoever. Stephen, well done. Send me your address. I'll send you some shit art. Get right, I'm not playing anymore, lol. Well, to be fair, I've still got like 4 or 5. I sent one of them to my mate Andy from them Christmas cards I did. I've still got 4 of them left. So I'll do another one. Give it a month or something. I don't want to constantly do it because I'm not just trying to fucking make a fortune selling shit art. Amber wants to buy shit art. I'll send them my way. I've got shit art coming out my arsehole. I've got loads. I've got shit art all over the spot. Come on, 67. Right, so there we are. That's done. That's done. Right. What was I doing now? Cancel culture, BBC. Here we go. I can't find the fucking story now. What was it under? Let's have a look. Was it work life? Work life is just cancer on the bollocks of society. Have you looked at the work life section of the BBC website? The nation's resisting remote work. Yeah, because you don't do as much fucking work, do you? This is linked to what I was telling you guys the other day. The reason they're pushing all this stuff that they know is bad for us is because then they can point at the system and say the system failed. But I've told you guys before, that's why they do this on purpose. Because it's why they wanted to lock everybody in. Like I said, it does not make any sense at all that with the traditional paradigms, as I've said, I'm conservative at heart because I'm risk averse. Conservative people are risk averse. You say, should we let in 100,000 poor people? No. I understand they're in need and I understand that we have a duty to help some people, but I'm risk averse because this could go wrong, this could go wrong, this could go wrong. That is the bog standard conservative mentality. So when liberal people started saying, we've got to lock everybody in their house, we've got to do this, we've got to do it. When liberal people started doing that, you should have smelled a rat. Because personality traits of the left-wing fuckers are not risk-averse. That's why they aren't conservatives. Conservatives are slow, steady, methodical, risk-averse. And Jordan Peterson's talked about it. This is why you need both types in your society. And I'm not an extremist, and I understand the need for both. Because the left-wing types are usually the innovators, the wacky inventors, the pioneers, because they come up with mad shit and they take risks. But the conservative types are the best managers. Conservative people are the best managers because they're best at managing the time. They are more responsible. They're more methodical. And they're more direct. They like to just get stuff done. So for a country to work at its optimum, you need both types. You need the conservative people who value order and discipline and are risk averse and do the risk assessments before they do anything rash. And you need the innovators and the liberals and the pioneers, and it works. You need liberal thinkers to do the inventing, and you need conservative thinkers to do the managing, the running, the day-to-day, the order. So again, it's why Bootneck's not a reactionary. He's a centrist person who leans right or left, depending on the issue. Crime and punishment, right. Because I think we have a duty to protect the citizenry. Economics, spending, right. But socially liberal. I'm a socially liberal centrist, right? But when you knew far left people started suddenly being risk averse, you should have smelled that rat, that week old rotting rat under your fucking bed. because that's why they did it. It wasn't because they suddenly became risk averse. It's because they're cunning and manipulative. And they knew that the longer they could lock everybody down, think about it, AOC, she was the hardcore. How can you know whether or not someone's going to want to be locked down, pro-lockdown or not, based off their economic opinions? But you could. You knew Owen Jones was going to be pro-lockdown. Ash Sarkar, Jeremy Corbyn. They're fucking pro-lockdown because, not because they've changed their mind and they're suddenly risk-averse, because they're sneaky and cunning and manipulative, and they knew the longer they could lock us down, the more debt we were going to get into. Easy. How could people not see it? The amount of people I was telling, I was like, think about it. Left-wing woke twats are not risk-averse. They don't see any risk in anything. They go, oh, let's just let 10 million people in through the southern border. It'll be fine. And when you say, aren't some of them going to be rapists and murderers and terrorists and fucking bank robbers? They go, nah, it's fine. These people do not, they are not afraid to take risks. But all of a sudden, when the pandemic response is, oh yeah, they're like, lock them down longer, lock them down harder. That's why Britain's totally fucked. Because we don't have a parliamentary system anymore where there's an opposition. You should have an opposition, a party of opposition that is aggressively the party of opposition. Everything Boris Johnson says, they should say, we want to do the opposite. And we don't have an oppositional parliament anymore. We have a parliament that agrees with the fucking prime minister on nearly everything. And when they disagree, it's because they agree harder. Like they agree so hard, they disagree, isn't it? Because like Boris Johnson was like, I think we should lock everybody in the house for a year. And Keir Starmer was like, fuck it, make it 2. That's not disagreeing. Although, yeah, it's, I'm confusing myself now. It's disagreeing. It's agreeing so hard, it looks like they disagree. But that's not fucking disagreeing. Disagreeing is when Boris Johnson says we should lock everybody in the house for a year. Disagreeing is saying, no, we shouldn't. Nobody should be locked in the house in a free country. You absolute spastic. That's what we need in Parliament, but we don't. We've got a Parliament that agrees. The only thing they say is lock us down more, lock us down harder. Jeremy Corbyn, lock us down more, lock us down harder. Since when is a commie the risk-averse type? It's nonsense. It's because they knew it would tank the economy. And it's the same with remote work. They know that people who work at home aren't as productive. It's a proven fact. So they keep saying everybody should be working at home. And then production's going to go down. And the lockdown pinch will bite. And the pinch will start feeling the pinch. And we're going to go bankrupt. And then they can go, look at that. The system failed. Well, the system wasn't functioning as intended, was it? It's why there's a housing crisis in the United States, especially in California. It's especially in the UK, there's a housing crisis as well. Because we import hundreds of thousands of people every year. And we've imported hundreds of thousands of people for the last 30 fucking years. And we haven't built any houses. And all of a sudden we go, oh, look at that. Look at that. The system's failing. No, you're making it fail. If you're importing 300,000 people a year, you need to build at least 100,000 houses a year, don't you? But we don't. So then they'll go, look at that, system failed. No, you made it fail, you twat. A blind man could see this coming. Stevie Wonder with his bin liner over his head and earmuffs on can see it coming. It's obvious. And they do it on purpose. Because then they can go, ooh, the system's failed. So let's try communism. Let's just give it another go. Oh, really? Give it another go. Pol Pot, Mao, Stalin, Tito. Just give it another go, shall we? Like every time these people run anything, we all starve to death. It's so obvious. Communism, yeah, of course, famine's the least of your fucking problems. So they're insane, these people. Insane. History just repeats itself, and it'll repeat itself again. They're going about the kulaks in the Gulag Archipelago. You can see that's going to happen now. You can see why it's inevitable, because people like you lot in the chat, normal working class people who've saved and scrimped and got your mortgage, You get into your 50s and your 60s and you've paid your mortgage off, and they come for you, the working class people. They go, look at that property owner. Property, no such thing as private property. They're not millionaires and billionaires. They get normal people. Normal fucking people. You work your whole life. You get into your 60s. You know, you got your first mortgage when you were 30 because you're working class and you graft for a living. 30, 35. And then when you get to like 50, you're like, oh, look, we can afford a slightly bigger house now. Well, I suppose instead of, because I started putting my money away in my 40s because I don't go anywhere, I suppose now I don't really need to sell the 2-bedroom house that we bought. I can just pay for a deposit out of my money, and then I can hopefully have a second home. And then those people are the ones they point at. Commies like Owen Jones point at you and go, oh, you've got 2 houses. You're stealing from the poor. Fuck you. We are the poor. We are the poor. Under capitalist society, if you graft working class for 40 years, you own shit at the end of it. And they're the ones they come for. Because the actual billionaires and the fucking millionaires, they're off straight away because they've got the ability to move everything. Capital flight, they just take everything and fuck off. When the Venezuelans did it, they started seizing factories, didn't they, in Venezuela? They seized like a Kellogg's factory. They seized like a Chrysler or a GM factory. A week later, every single business was fucking off. Every large business that had the means was like, shit, they're seizing private property, do one. It's so obvious. Everyone who's got the money and the means is off. So who gets everything stolen from them, ladies and gentlemen? It's you. Normal, working class people. They're the ones who get fucking rounded up and all the stuff stolen from them because they're stealing from the poor. They are the poor. You save all your money, you've got enough for a mortgage, and all of a sudden you're the millionaires and the billionaires getting persecuted because the real millionaires and the billionaires are fucked off. So they have to take it out on someone, and it's you. Jezza advocated seizing private property in London, didn't he? I think some old woman who's fucking was lucky enough to buy a property in like the 70s before it was ridiculously expensive because we've imported fucking millions of people. Does she deserve to get robbed? A postal worker that's worked for 45 years. Does she deserve to get robbed because a communist comes to power? These people are fucking idiots. So that's why people like me rant about it, because it's irrational. I'm working class. I've got nothing in common with millionaires and billionaires, but they're the producers. Anybody who works for the state produces nothing. Coppers don't, firemen don't, nurses don't, teachers don't. The people that could really create the wealth are millionaires and billionaires who created businesses, who make things from scratch. Producers, teachers and firemen and coppers are non-producers. They don't generate wealth for the country. So you have to, unfortunately, it's the way it goes. It's why the middle class always get fucked. The working class get fucked as well, because you have to offer incentives and tax breaks to big companies so they'll come and spend the money there. When Cameron, do you remember when Cameron let off, was it Vodafone? Cameron let off Vodafone with some massive tax bill. It was like, you twats owes 500 million quid. And they went, nah, we'll just tie you up in legal shit for 20 years and you'll never get your money. Or give us a tax break and we'll give you 100 million. And Cameron rightly said, go on then. Because 10% of 500 million is better than 0% of 500 million. And it is hard to swallow it when you're working class. It's hard to swallow that you might pay more income tax than a billionaire. But the reason they do it is to try and incentivize the billionaires to come and set up these companies. And I do understand it. It's hard to swallow as a working class man. But it's like I said to you, it's like the peace process in Northern Ireland. It was hard to swallow as a British veteran. It's hard to swallow seeing a baby killer walk in the streets after doing 2 years in prison. It's hard to swallow, but you understand it as being a necessary evil to achieve peace. As I talked about, not pulling down the statues and reaching out to the Southerners in the United States, reaching out to your former foes and saying, we need to be mates, so we both need to take a bite of a shit sandwich. That's how it works. And I suppose ultimately the crux of conservatism is that, isn't it? It's being stoic enough to face that. It's a stoic ideology, conservatism, because it involves putting on your big boy pants and accepting that the world's not perfect and accepting the fact you have to make compromises. And if that means that I have to watch a billionaire like Elon Musk get told by the government, oh yeah, but if you move your factory over here, we'll only charge you 8% income tax. We'll only take 8 pence out of every pound you make. It's hard to swallow, but you understand it as a necessary evil. And I think that's it, isn't it? Again, it's at its very core. Conservatism versus communism is conservatives are stoic and have a stiff upper lip, and they can face the mirror and say, you know what, it sort of sucks that this is happening, but at least we've got a functioning country. And the communists, the wokists, they're basically in love with a childish fantasy, an idea that has never worked and never will work. Exactly so, David Greenwell. David, capitalism is the least worst system, so there has to be winners and losers. It's true. And capitalism works for 95% of people. Yeah, it sucks. If you're really stupid, you can't even blame someone. You can't blame someone for being stupid, and you can't even totally blame someone for being lazy, can you? Because ultimately, there's a lot of chemistry going on in your brain there. I didn't ask to be diligent and hardworking. I just am. Some of it is due to your own efforts and your own conditioning and training and your own discipline, but some of it is just hardwired in your brain. Some people are just lazy and stupid, and it's not their fault that they're lazy and stupid entirely. But it still works for most of us. Like capitalism works for 98% of people, and the 2%, because we're all paying our taxes, you can deal with. So you get your layabouts and your Dole Wallers and your disabled people, your Stephen Hawkins, all the fucking hell, he still worked. Most of them don't now. People who play the system. But typically, if everybody's producing their optimum, working and paying into the system, you can deal with a few chances. You just make it more hard to get lifetime disability. You just make it harder to get lifetime welfare. You just make it more difficult. And it works. The system works. Until it doesn't, because there's too many people taking the piss. And this is where you have to rein it in. Now there's too many. I mean, have you seen the numbers for disability in England? Something like, is it 20% of the country or something? It's fucking mad. It's mental how many people are on disability in the UK. There is absolutely no way that's right. Probably in real life, probably 1 in 20 people's disabled in England, but current numbers in the UK are absolutely ridiculous. It's like 1 in 6 people or something like that. It really did stagger me when I saw how many people are on disability. So it does make you think, how are we still solvent? Well, we aren't fucking solvent, are we? We're in fucking massive amounts of debt. Yeah, it is. It's true, Blue Van Man. It is. Some always have an excuse. But what I'm saying is, I can meet them. Yeah, that's definitely true as well. I've said that in the past. Long COVID's definitely going to be the new bad bat. I covered it, didn't I, in a video a few months ago. People saying, oh, I definitely can't work. I can't breathe. I can only take 2 steps and I can't breathe. Fuck you, pay me. Oh, I definitely can't. I got COVID like a year ago, but I still can't work. Fuck you, pay me. It's going to be the new bad bat. King Kong, I work 12 hours a day on good money, but I'm struggling. See, I don't know what to tell you if that's the case. Like, I've never had to work 12-hour shifts on good money, and I've never been skint. I don't know what to tell you. Don't eat out. Do your own cooking at home. That saves you a lot of money. Don't go on the piss very often. Don't buy nice cars, jewelry, flash clothes. There's got to be some way you can make it work if you're working 12 hours a day on good money. But yeah, this isn't a financial channel. Maybe I should make one. Bootneck Financial. I think I could give people better financial advice than most. Anna Sonner's mother was hit by a car when she was 17. Did not have long-lasting injuries. Lived up in it. Yeah, unbelievable. Massive amounts of people are taking the piss in the UK. Massive amounts. And again, it needs fixing. And when the Tories try to fix it, because again, think about it. I haven't even got into the story. I just keep ranting about it, but I keep going off into different directions that all lead to the same place. Think about that. When the Tories try to fix the disability scams in England, because they looked at the numbers and went, holy shitballs, 1 in 5 people in the UK is claiming disability. When they tried to fix it, the left went, you're killing people. You're literally killing people. Do you remember? I've talked about this before. In my local, in the Brown Cow, when I was living in York, there was a lass in there. Me and my missus were pissing ourselves laughing at her. She's in the pit. She's on the piss 7 days a week because she's on disability. And she says, oh, I get anxiety. I can't work. Anxiety. Under Labour, anyone could get disability. It was shocker. Everybody was on disability in fucking under Labour. My old man was, because he's a piss-taking cunt like they all are in the Northeast. He got it for gout. And whenever they try to get a doctor's appointment, you just get pissed, don't you? And then you go and you go, look at that, can't work for another year. It's like when they're trying to fix it, the lefties were like, oh yeah, killing people. Oh my God, you're killing people. Because the commies are manipulative and they're trained and they know to always make it about safety. Silence is violence. Harm, you're doing harm. Oh, you want to make the economy work properly, you're doing harm. Oh my God, my safety, violence, you're committing violence. You're disagreeing with me, you're committing violence against me. Because they're cunning and manipulative and they're well trained and they know what to say. So that's what they do. You try and fix a problem and they say, no, you're doing harm. So you don't fix the problem, i.e. because the Conservatives are weak. And then you just hemorrhage money and then you go bankrupt and then they go, see, the system doesn't work. You stopped us from allowing the system to work, you commie rat. You stopped us from allowing the system to work. The system did work, but you made it fail. You locked everybody in the house off for fucking 2 years, and now you're telling me the system's failing. It isn't. It wasn't. It's failed because you made it fail. And it all comes back to the same place. Rotten politics is in, now then. We were just talking about how commies poison everything. Rotten politics. Welcome to the show. Anyway, so I just rambled about it, but yeah, that's what that story's about. It's as usual. They know what's bad for you. Working from home is bad for you. They want the worst for you. They know working at home, you're more likely to be sat in on your ass all day. You're more likely to procrastinate. You're more likely to be lazy. You're not socialising with your colleagues properly. You're not getting out the house. You're not getting into a routine. You're not getting a fucking shower first thing in the morning and brushing your teeth and putting your nice clothes on. You're just sitting in your fucking dressing gown, pretending to work every now and then whilst eating Cheetos, dusting the fucking Cheeto dust off your fingers and doing a bit of typing for 2 minutes. It's bad for your health, ladies and gentlemen. Resist the urge to work from home if you can. It's not as good for your health as going out and actually integrating with society and socialising with your co-workers. You might not like it, but it's better for you. I've told you guys this before. Everything that we fucking like is bad for us because we're an evolved primate. We're not very clever. We like eating ice cream. We hate getting on the treadmill. But you need to do what's bad for you because that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And these fuckers do not have your best interest at heart. Do not listen to the BBC and The Guardian when you are Channel 4 or Sky News. Don't listen to them. They haven't got your best interest at heart. They want to fuck you up. They want to ruin your health and they want to ruin your children's health, physical health, mental health, because then they can go, see, the system's not working. Bollocks. Bollocks, bollocks, bollocks. So I'm not reading it. Fuck them. I'm not doing it. What else have we got? The job interviews that go too far. That'll be another one. The job interviews that go to tell me how it goes too far. Oh no! So I think they work before they're hired. Sometimes the tasks take hours. Yeah, because they want to check that you're competent. They want to check that you're not hiring an absolute fucking plank. What's wrong with that? See what I'm saying here? They want to wreck everything. They don't want competent workers because their competent workers make the companies a success. So they want you to be forced to hire mongoloids. They want you to be forced to hire lazy, incompetent chances so they can go, see, system's not working. That company's going bust because the system doesn't work. The company's going bust because you made them hire morons. It's all linked, people. Pay attention. Whoops. That wasn't Susan, that was me. So yeah, it's bollocks. The working job interviews. Every single link on the work life page. I pressed back on the wrong browser window. That's why I killed the stream. Every single story on the work life tab on the BBC is just woke propaganda. Like, look, I'll just go down them quick before we call it a night. The nation's resisting remote work because they don't want you to go into the office because they know it's fucking good for your health and it's good for your company. So take that one. What's next? Job interviews. They don't want job interviews to actually check that you're capable of doing the fucking job, because they don't want companies to do well, because they want the companies to fail, and then you can go, the system doesn't work, let's all be commies. So check. Let's do another one. What else is there? Why women file for divorce more? Well, that's just identity politics. Tick. Women are mistreated, men are all cunts. Yeah, tick. What else? The toxic cutthroat work problem. Oh, really? What's the problem? Tell me what the problem is. Oh, it drives out workers. Many employees thrive in high-pressure work environments, but ruthless cultures can poison the well, eroding well-being. Bollocks. Bollocks. So they don't want any pressure on you. You know why they don't want pressure on you? Because if there's no pressure on you, you won't do any fucking work. And if you don't do any work, your company will fail, and they'll go, the system doesn't work. Let's all be communists. Check. Done. It's every story. So the BBC is, as I've said for 2.5 years, a tumour on the bollocks of humanity, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I started a show called, well, the original one was The Shite You See on the BBC. And then it morphed into the BBC Spews. One of you good people gave me the title. And I will continue to rip the ever-loving shit out of the BBC, because they hate you and they hate all that's good in the world. And that's just a fact. We'll call it there, right? That's nearly an hour. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Well done to Mr. Who won. I don't even remember. I'll have to watch it back. Well done to whoever it was who won. And I'll do that again in a month. Whiskey Straight Al once had a 3.5 interview. 3.5 hour interview. I argued with the panel and he got the job. Yeah, because they probably realised, because it was a strenuous interview, that you weren't a fucking plank, Alan. Easy. Easy. Right, life's not too hard. Just don't be woke. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.